Hi, this is Pavel with a C# exercise from the book Visual C# 2012 How to Program, Chapter 13, Exercise 10, Format Exceptions. We are going to create an app that inputs miles driven and gallons used and calculate miles per gallon. So very simple. The example should use exception handling to process the format exceptions that occur when converting the input strings to doubles. So if the invalid data is entered, we will display a message informing the user. So since we are using console application, we enter a number, but if it's a string, a string character, then it won't be possible to convert it to a number, and we will throw an exception. All right, so let's start coding. So we create the miles driven variable. I'll initialize it to 0. These are gonna be both doubles, gallons used. And now we create our try block and also catch. We will get some exception here. Now, in the try block, we are simply going to ask the user to enter the value. So we will do console.writeLine. Please enter miles driven. All right, and we will capture that into our variable miles driven, which is a double. So we have to convert it to double. And we are converting the input, so it's console read line. So whatever the user enters will convert to double or try. And if you can't, that's when we throw the exception. Now we will ask for the gallons used. So I'll just copy paste it. Please enter, and I will simply write gallons used, and we will capture that in our variable gallons used. So this is the input that we are getting, and now we simply perform the calculation. So our double miles per gallon, I'm just creating a variable, simply equals to miles driven divided by gallons used. And that's that. And in a perfect world, this would work. User would always be smart enough to enter the correct number, and we would never have to catch any exceptions or validate the input. But we have to. You know why? Because users just enter all kinds of random crap. So we are going to catch, and we are going to catch an exception, and the exception they want us to catch is a particular one called format exception, and we'll catch it into a variable e. In other words, e now equals format exceptions. So and over here we will simply inform user that they did something wrong. So we do console that we could simply just do something like output the message, the system message, but it's better when you enter something that the user would understand, and then also we can also add the actual system message. So we console that write line, and we will enter something like so he can understand it. So idiot, you cannot enter that. All right, but on the new line we can actually enter the actual message. So we would do something like over here a placeholder, and the placeholder would be the e, which is the variable for our format exceptions. And if you press the period, you get all the properties and methods that are available with the format exceptions, and one of them is message. So we will simply output the actual message, the system message. And that's really all. After I need to do console.read key or something to pause the screen, but I forgot over here we calculate the miles per gallon, but we never actually displayed on the screen. So I'll just do a simple console.write line, and it will say something like mileage is, and miles per gallon, and the placeholder is the miles per gallon that we just calculated in the line above. And this should actually work. Let me run it and see. Alright, so it's asking us to enter the miles driven. I'll enter 100, and if I enter, let's say, 20 gallons used, it says mileage is 5 miles per gallon. No problem, everything was correct. But if I try to enter, let's say, 100 miles and gallons used, I'll just use a string. Now it says, idiot, you cannot enter that, and on the new line, this is the system message. It says input string was not in correct format. That's the format exception message itself. So yeah, that would be actually the exercise, but we can, you can capture more. For example, over here, we can capture kind of like a default if, because over here we're simply catching format exceptions, but any other exceptions would fall through. So that's something like we can capture like a default, simply exception, no particular one, just any other exception that runs through the program and that is not caught before that. So we will catch that, and we will do console.writeLine, and we can do something like what the hell are you trying to do? Alright, so that would be the message, and again on a new line we can do the actual message itself. So it will be again the E message, and it would tell us, what exception was actually being thrown, what the problem actually was. So we can test that. Oh, I forgot my comma here. So let's say, for example, I come over here and I will try to convert this to a character, just for fun. So let's do what did I just do? Oh, I will do something like convert to character, and I will try to convert the miles driven to character. So what is gonna happen if I do that? It's gonna do it automatically right after I enter it, and it says it's not a format exception because this is an invalid cast exception. We're trying to cast double to a character, so it says, what the hell are you trying to do? That's our message. And then on the bottom it is the system explanation, or the system message, system error message. So it skips the format exception because again this is not a format exception, this is invalid cast exception. So it was searching for something else, and it caught it with the default one, which catches pretty much everything. Now we could also do something like, I'll just comment this out. Let's say you don't want miles driven to be more than 100 for some reason. Now obviously normally you would just do if statement, like if miles is greater than 100, do this and that, right? But we can also throw an exception and then catch it. So we can do something like if miles driven is greater than 100, instead of performing anything within the body of the if statement, we can simply throw an exception. Where am I? So it's gonna be throw. How do I spell that now? Throw. There you go. New, and we can do something like whatever exception you want. Like, let's say in this case, we'll just throw random index out of range exception. Why not? This is obviously for arrays, but we may decide to, hey, if this is more than 100, throw this particular exception for some reason. So we can come down here. It has to be before this one, because this one is a default. If we enter any other exceptions after that, they won't be executed because this one will catch them all. So over here, before that, we will do catch, and we will catch the index out of range exception, and we will do again something like console.writeLine right line and something like no car can drive that many miles, or whatever, right? And on a new line we will do again the actual system error message. So we will do the E message. So now when we try to what did I just do again? Oh, we throw in an exception. I forgot the parentheses. So when we run it, if I enter something within 100 or less, and I enter correct number, let's say here, then it says, it calculates the gallons per mile and the mileage, and everything is okay. If I try to enter a string, it will go to our format exception. It says, idiot, you cannot enter that. And it says input string was not in correct format. But if I enter a number but greater than 100, then it goes to the exception we define as index out of range, which again, this is not a correct exception, but it's just for the demonstration. And it says no car can drive that many miles, and then it says index was out of bounds of the array. Now there's no array, obviously. This is just the error message associated with this particular exception. So you can see how these exceptions are being caught, and you can perform an action on each particular exception, and you can have one catch all that catches all the other, like that you did not manage to catch or did not feel like catching or didn't have to catch, because they might be unlikely. Alright, so that's all for this exercise. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.